A World Cup win at 19, comparable to only Pele, transferred to PSG for £166 million at age 18. 233 goals in 282 games for Paris Saint-Germain. Kylian Mbappe is great, but will he ever be the greatest? Time is ticking for the 25-year-old Frenchman, wasting his world-class talent in Ligue 1. So what's preventing him from being in the conversation amongst the best of the best? Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, Maradona. It's no secret that the biggest downplay to Mbappe is playing in Ligue 1, because it's not even a top 5 European league. After his £166 million move to PSG, nobody would have assumed he would still be there 7 years later. The best players in history took ownership of their careers. Ronaldo had moved to a top Manchester United team where he won the Champions League, and then moved to Real Madrid as a star player by 25 years old. Messi established a star-studded Barcelona team as his own, had won 4 Ballon d'Ors and already scored 300 goals in a much more competitive league. Even the likes of Jude Bellingham moved abroad to Germany and took the leap to Real Madrid as their most Galactica-esque signing of recent times. Whereas Mbappe has remained at the far best team in a weak league and prioritised huge contracts rather than taking ownership of his career, which already sets him back against the greatest players. In order to become a great, Mbappe needs to orchestrate its own narrative and take risks to be the best. PSG are preventing Mbappe, but why? They're an amazing team and have a history of incredible players, Ibrahimovic, Ronaldinho, Beckham and so on, but their dysfunctional team building has held them back from becoming a European powerhouse. Mbappe was signed in the same season as Neymar, whose time at PSG goes under the radar, who was simply amazing, especially in his earlier years, and Messi later joined them on a free. On paper, an insanely talented frontline, possibly one of the best ever, but reality suggests otherwise. Although Mbappe was better than both Messi and Neymar, their spotlight shone brighter. A reunion of the master, Messi, and the prodigy, Neymar, now in his prime. Perhaps Mbappe doesn't have the biggest ego in world football, but this did not sit brilliantly with him, and reports suggested he wanted both of them sold. Once again, the importance and hype of Messi and Neymar was rooted in their achievements elsewhere. But is Mbappe staying at PSG because he's Parisian, with a Totti type of loyalty, and loves the club? Or is it because their Qatari owners offer him lucrative deals at every stage he wants to leave? The most damning part? He signed his latest contract to extend over the Qatar World Cup, just to stay in Lionel Messi's inescapable shadow. Real Madrid, Liverpool, even Al Hilal. Where can Mbappe go to fast-track his GOAT status? Well, so I am aware Real Madrid is pretty much definite, but I wrote this script before, and I haven't had time to edit it, so just bear with me. It's still interesting. He's been linked with Liverpool, and there's definitely space for him as an inverted left forward. But would the Premier League suit Mbappe's strengths? He's strong, pacey, smart, but defences do play deeper in England. So imagine Mbappe's trademark goal. He lines up his shot and opens his body up, as if he's going to shoot in the top right corner or the top left corner, but beats the keeper with a powerful, low-driven shot at the near corner. This would be harder to come by against low blocks. Nottingham Forest, the Premier League's lowest block in the Premier League, have made 242 tackles in their defensive third. Compare this to Ligue 1's lowest block, Montpellier, and they've only made 177 tackles in the defensive third. They prefer to tackle in the midfield, leaving space for Mbappe to attack into. In the Premier League, it's therefore all but a guarantee that there'd be an extra man to defend or block Mbappe's trademark move. Lower blocks would negate some of his special ability. But if he wanted to form a marketable rivalry like Messi and Ronaldo in La Liga, there is Haaland in the Premier League. But perhaps the league suits his goal poaching just a bit more. Real Madrid and Mbappe, it's obvious it's this endless saga, but it does seem written in the stars. Since Benzema left, Real Madrid have been missing an out-and-out 9. But is Mbappe that? No, not really. He's most effective off the left, but they already have a world beater there in Vinicius Jr. However, this could still work if Mbappe was coached to become more effective down the middle. This would be reminiscent of Cristiano Ronaldo's move to Los Blancos. There's no arguing that La Liga is the weakest it's been for a while now, especially since the Messi-Ronaldo years. But with Real Madrid building another young super team and Barcelona on the lookout for an elite manager next year, Mbappe could be the final piece to ascend the Spanish league back to its former glory. So Liverpool or Real Madrid, where suits him best? Despite the chance to construct a fierce rivalry with Haaland in the Premier League, Real Madrid is the illustrious historic club that Mbappe needs to move to in order to come closer to the greatest of all time. Real Madrid's 14 Champions League titles speak for themselves, and there's no doubt that Mbappe would win many more with Los Merengues. Chapter 4. Ego. If you were touted as the world's best player at 18, you'd have an ego, right? but Mbappe's latest contract at PSG would suggest he's bigger than the club. He's reportedly on £42.5 million a year, with £153 million signing on bonus. It's clear that PSG value the Frenchman like a god. This no doubt gives Mbappe a complex. The story that suggests he has a say in the sport and direction of the club, deciding transfers, managers, but when it doesn't go his way, he acts childishly. His lack of respect for the club was on display in their Trophée de Champion Cup win against Toulouse, where he held the trophy without an ounce of pride or honour. This emphasises that he doesn't weigh trophies extremely highly in his legacy. We've seen Mbappe give up when he's not given the ball in the past, which is the least you'd ask, even of a National League player. Credit to Mbappe, I guess, as he did reject a £1 billion contract at Halves, but it almost just suggests that his PSG contract has effectively priced him out of any reasonable move to anywhere other than the treasure chest Saudi Pro League. The greats like Messi have always handled their public image delicately. Ronaldo has displayed great discipline for the best part of his career. He's not going to the UFC anytime soon. Less about that, the better. But Haaland, as well, is an extremely likeable, hard-working rival. Chapter 5. Big boots to fill. Messi and Ronaldo have set the standard unbelievably high. Messi is probably the most well-rounded player of all time. 821 goals, 361 assists. Ronaldo, an incredible goal scorer and dribbler in his earlier days of his career, with 873 goals and 249 assists. To put this into context, Mbappe would have to score 57.3 goals a year for the next 10 years to match Ronaldo's record, which would be a ridiculous feat. There's no doubt in his ability to do this, especially if he moved to a more central position. But in terms of Messi's playmaking, he'd need to assist 23.4 times per season for the next 10 to match Messi's. And this seems more challenging, especially if he will take a more central role. So where does this leave Mbappe now? Haaland seems more the Ronaldo type than Mbappe, and Mbappe's too different of a player to Messi to be a successor. So it begs the question, is Mbappe good enough to stand out by himself? Chapter 6, Les Bleus. Mbappe for Les Bleus is a different monster, obviously winning the World Cup in 2018 and scoring a hat-trick in the final in 2022. He performs best when the world is watching. He won the Best Young Player award in the 2018 World Cup after scoring 4 goals, with one of those being in the final. He scored 46 and 75 for the national team, but hasn't always gone perfectly for him when representing his country. When Mbappe's off the mark, the rest of the France team seem off of it too because he's the pivotal player in the team. Sometimes his finishing has lacked the clinical edge for a player of his calibre, and this was shown no further in Euro 2020 where France made a shock round of 16 exit after Mbappe missed a decisive penalty in a shootout. Kylian is no doubt best for France, but there has been lows too, leaving people asking whether or not he's enough of a team player. You starting to sense a theme there? Because the statistics and story paint a picture of a player destined for greatness, but the reality is textured with complexities. He thrives when the world is watching, but his story for Les Bleus will be shaped by more than his goals and assists. Chapter 7, the conclusion. Mbappe's future is still uncertain, but you make your own luck, and he needs to make vital decisions if he wants to be considered in the top bracket of footballing greats in 50 years' time. Time is ticking for Kylian Mbappe. The best time to plant a tree was 30 years ago. The next best time is now. Let me know in the comments your thoughts. Will Mbappe be a great? And please remember to like and subscribe. Cheers.